Good morning. It's a Monday morning, a beautiful Monday morning following a weekend of great football. There were some fascinating matches that were played both domestically and on the continent. We saw Orlando Pirates throwing at Sekhukhune United. Is that a sign that the championship could well now be slipping away? Mamelodi Sundowns, they also dropped crucial points at home to Al Hilal in the CAF Champions League. Kaizer Chiefs, on the other hand, were successful out in Zambia, and they are now back in the running for continental honors. Still early days, but that victory, the first one, surely gives them some confidence. And then there were some league matches. Amazulu moved up the table. They won as well. Welcome to Inside SA Soccer. This is Bra Jakes, coming to you from Omni Audio Studios in Africa. I look at this weekend and I'm like, the big thing really that came out for me is what happened at Mamelodi Sundowns on Friday night. The result itself, I think, very disappointing. Sundowns, I had said to somebody actually that there's just no way Al Hilal will beat Sundowns. They didn't. But for them to get a point there, Sundowns, I think they let themselves down. A screamer by Debza Mukwena to put them 2-1 up, and you'd think at that time of the match Sundowns would protect that lead, go on to get the maximum points they needed, but no, they didn't. Went to sleep. The second goal that they conceded, very clumsy at the back, the mistakes that a team like them should not have made. Ronwen Williams, for once, not at his best in terms of controlling his defense and just positioning everything, and then Al Hilal get a key goal. Sundowns have to go there. Traveling to Al Hilal. Al Hilal will probably play them in either Rwanda or Libya. It's not going to be an easy match, and that could well cost Sundowns. Now, that match created that result in particular. You saw then the ugly side of Sundowns. That it's typical Mamelodi Sundowns. Things don't go wrong and the crowd go berserk. They attack the coaches, they attack. I know that Fleming Berg, the technical director in Mamelodi Sundowns, is not one of the most favored people at Sundowns. Generally, a lot of people will also say in South Africa. And the reasons are, a European guy comes, he works at Mamelodi Sundowns, talk when the favorite Rulani Mukwena left Sundowns was that he didn't see eye to eye with Fleming Berg. And what happens? Mangoba Mngiti takes over for a little while, and Fleming Berg then brings in Miguel Cardoso, who did well to win Sundowns the league, get them into the CAF Champions League final. But typical South Africans, a lot of people have not been happy with Cardoso lately. Sundowns not playing, as they say, the Sundowns football that they like. And building up to this, during the break, the AFCON break, there's been talk. A lot of talk about Pitso could be coming back. Pitso Mosimane, that is the former Mamelodi Sundowns multiple championship winner with Mamelodi Sundowns, could be coming back to replace Miguel Cardoso. But when they first played, when Sundowns beat Orbit in their opening match of the season, after the break, Miguel Cardoso was adamant he remains at Sundowns. This is a club that does things not through social media. The club itself did not come out to say we are sticking by our coach. But then what happened this weekend on Friday, as I said, typical. We've had cases of coaches leaving either Loftus or the Lucas Moripe Stadium under protection of police because the angry crowd are baying for the coach's blood. It happened this weekend. Fleming Berg, I saw some pictures, not nice pictures of him bleeding on his head. The one that I think just about everybody saw was him being spilled with lots of water. Anger at Fleming Berg, a call for him to be let go, as well as Coach Miguel Cardoso, and the two were reported to have had to leave the stadium via the back door. And it's yes, fans are angry, but for me, it never really is the way to do things. But it's been happening for years, and the powers that be in the sport generally don't seem to do anything about it, and because of that, it has continued. Now, they were again chanting Pitso, Pitso, Pitso. But is that the way? Could it be happening that Pitso Mosimane will come back at Sundowns? I don't know. I've said this in this previous show that what I know is that there's this whole... You'll remember when Pitso left Sundowns for Al Ahly, he had just signed a new contract, and the two parties then took each other to court because of that. And I know that there's still an appeal case going on between Pitso's handlers, Empty Sports, with regards to that against Sundowns. But can he then go back with that hanging in the air? I wonder. But yeah, Sundowns fans clearly are not happy with Flemingberg, and it seems with Miguel Cardoso. But will the powers that be, will Tlhophi Motsepe? One of the things I've seen is that Sundowns, the hierarchy at Sundowns have come out in condemnation of what happened, which is right. And they have said those who are going to be, if anyway the club is able to find out who the perpetrators were and who did what they did to Flemingberg, they will take action against them, be it by taking them to court or banning them from attending their matches. But yeah, that's the big story now. Flemingberg is not liked, clearly, by the Sundowns fans. And the thing, here's the thing. Over the years in South African football, people will say, oh yeah, but yeah, the crowd, they're just making noise. No, in South African football, historically, the clubs often listen to what the fans are saying. And the Sundowns fans over the years have, there was a time I remember when they wanted Pitso out. You saw how they reacted when he came back to play for the first time against Sundowns. So those are the things. But personally, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, perhaps you are not happy with how Flemingberg is doing things. You are not happy with Coach Miguel Cardoso. But violence is not the way to go. And I would suggest find other ways. Boycott going to the matches or something. But that's how it is. It's a story that's ongoing. We will hear what Sundowns are going to do. We will see how they are going to react to what happened on Friday. As I say, they'll take action against the perpetrators, but will they do something? Will they part ways with Flemingberg or even Coach Miguel Cardoso? And can Pitso Mosimane come back? That would be arguably the greatest of comebacks, isn't it? Just given how the two parties parted ways, how Sundowns, but hey, we've seen lovers going back to each other after like huge fights. That would be a big comeback. Pitso is currently still without a job, still working with his academy, but he's a coach. I've said this before, that one of the things I know he craves is to become the most successful coach on the African continent in terms of club football. He's currently just 2 trophies away from Jose Manuel, who's the most successful. And going back to Sundowns, going back to Champions League football, you win the Champions League, you win the Super Cup, then you are equal, and then you win the next one, and then Pitso is the most successful. Can he do that with Sundowns? Many will believe that. Talking of Sundowns, I said they did not win their match, but what helped them is the fact that their opposition in the group, MC Alger, of former Sundowns coach, Rulani Mokoena, Mr. Congratulations. He lost out at St. Eloi Lupopo. Last minute goal, really, actually in injury time. MC Alger lost, so it wasn't really a good weekend for South African clubs on the continent, save for Kaizer Chiefs, of course. Kaizer Chiefs, as I said, won in the Confederation Cup. Pule Modi scoring very early on in the match, and Chiefs could have made it more, but they didn't, and they managed to just hold on, because in the second half, the Zambian club, Zesco United, were just pushing for that equalizer, but it never came. So Kaizer Chiefs get off the mark. Can they challenge? Zamalek and Al Masry are still above them, but Chiefs closing in there. So let's see how it goes. They are hosting Zesco this weekend. So this weekend it's all a reverse, because Sundowns are also traveling to Al Hilal, who have said, you are not getting anything out of us. Rulanis MCLJ will be hosting Lupopo in that group. And another South African interest, Stellenbosch FC under coach Gavin Hunt for the first time, continental football as well. They're playing in the Confederation Cup. They were away to CRB Belouizdad, who are interestingly coached by Seyad Ramovic. Stellis lost that match 2-0, so poor start for Gavin in continental football. Can he turn it around? Interestingly, also another former Stellis coach, Stevie Barker, took Simba of Tanzania to Esperance in Tunisia. He too was in his first match in the CAF Confederation Cup, that is. He played matches with Simba in the domestic championship, didn't do very well there. And they lost 1-0 to Esperance. So overall, as I say, not a particularly good weekend for South Africans in general in continental football. But yeah, that's how it is. I think we excitedly looking forward to seeing Kaizer Chiefs hosting what's the club now? Zesco United. Why do I lose my train of thoughts? They're playing Zesco United in the second leg this coming weekend. I think that match is going to be played in Durban, so let's see how that will go. Speaking of Durban, Durban City also played in the Betway Premiership and coached by a new coach, Mr. Badela, who has just taken over. Durban City did very well to win their match, so good start for the coach. Good weekend really for KZN, because also Amazulu were victorious. They beat just a fascinating match, a 5-goal thriller. Amazulu playing against TS Galaxy. TS Galaxy side that went into that match having just won their match midweek. So Coach Arthur Zwani's team coming from behind to win 3-2. So they've moved up the table. So it's going to be, for me, I'm looking at this league and I'm like, with almost halfway, we are going to have quite a fascinating competition. Everything is going to be tight. You look at the top of the table, yes, Orlando Pirates, what a match. Out in Polokwane, they play at Sekhukhune United, and a lot of, I think most people would have thought Orlando Pirates should win this one, but no, it ended goalless. Stellenbosch, why am I going Stellenbosch? Sekhukhune United, who went into that match on the back of a defeat by Stellenbosch FC, come in and get a point against Orlando Pirates. Coach Owadu spoke after that match, and he wasn't really happy with, he's never going to be happy with dropping points. But in terms of the performance of his team, Coach Owadu was delighted, and this is what he said of that. Also, Coach Owadu spoke about the new players that they've signed. I mean, Andre de Jong, big signing from Stellenbosch FC, has joined the club. There was Daniel Msendami, the Zimbabwean, as well as Chabatsane. And he knows these players. He spoke about how he has worked previously with Msendami, and he knows the boy is quick on the wing. And that for me, that's going to add proper competition to the Pirates lineup, and that's what you want. But when you see Pirates dropping points the way they have, the question was asked of Owadu actually, can this be of an impact on the championship? But he feels, no, we got a point away. A point away is always good. But I know that once this happens, history says, once Pirates who are in the lead start doing such things, start dropping points, the confidence might go away. I think what will help Pirates in terms of their championship race is the fact that there seems to be this uncertainty at Mamelodi Sundowns, You never know, is the coach going to stay? We wait and see. What happened this weekend at Sundowns could well have somewhat of an impact on the championship race, and perhaps then Orlando Pirates can capitalize on the instability at Mamelodi Sundowns and then say, we are going to win the championship. So yeah, fascinating times. A great week as well looking ahead. As I said, I think for me the big thing is the fact that Chiefs are going to host. Now, on this show we talk things, and what we like is that you listen, you watch, and a few of you engage. And I know I saw quite a lot of you were very, very, angry with me. Some of you called me partisan for my view on that Aiden McCarthy goal for Kaizer Chiefs against Golden Arrows last weekend. Look, it's football, isn't it? We watch things and we see them in a particular way. Sometimes we get it wrong, sometimes we don't. But I think for people to think that it is because we are anti-Kaizer Chiefs or pro particular clubs, for me, that's very silly of you guys. I've covered football for 30 years. I've seen things, never from a pro or anti somebody else. I looked at that ball. I've seen a lot of people commenting. I just need to try and see if I can see some of the comments that some of you made. But there was somebody who spoke of how I never say anything when it's Sundowns or when it's Pirates. And I'm like, really, guys? Please follow, and you will see. But anyway, I've seen a lot of you commenting about your view of what you thought of it, and that's isn't it what they say about the beauty of this game? A lot of opinions, a game of opinions. The rules are there. I looked at that ball. The ball gets kicked. It's a free kick. When Lilepo hits the ball goalwards, Aiden McCarthy is in an offside position. And my thinking is the ball is going towards him, towards the goal. The referee, the linesman, the assistant should have his flag up for the guy being offside. They didn't have that. And the rebound from the goalkeeper, of course, people will say, it then puts McCarthy in an onside position and he scores. And perhaps that's what the referee saw. But I'm saying how I looked at it and my interpretation of that rule was the guy was offside when the header went, and therefore he shouldn't have been, the refs and the assistant should have lifted the flag. But believe me, it is never, from my side anyway, because I do not like a particular club or I like a particular club. Some of you mentioned cases of, it's Kaizer Chiefs, therefore everybody will speak. Of course, one of the things that can never be denied in South Africa is that Kaizer Chiefs are arguably the biggest club in the country, the most supported, the biggest crowd pullers, the biggest brand, and you are bound to talk about it. Think about it. If we now here, yes, there's 16 clubs in the PSL, but you will know that a TS Galaxy, for example, it's not a club that if you are going to spend 30, 40 minutes about, are you who are watching, will you watch? Probably not. So, but anyway, that's that. But yes, I really appreciate the comments, really appreciate you giving feedback, because we grow together in this sport. When we get it wrong and you show it, I'll always own up to if I'd got wrong. But what I would like for all of you to know is that it is never, ever about a club I like or a club I don't like. I watch things and I see them for what they are. It's a view. It's my view. You might see it as biased, but that's how it is. So yeah, that's how we come to the end of this. But yeah, the final, my final verdict here really on this whole Mamelodi Sundowns thing. Mamelodi Sundowns are a business. Patrice Motsepe, his son Klopi, they put money into the club. They hire people that they believe will do the job for them. They've had Fleming back for quite a while. as their sporting director, technical director, a man who runs things for them, who helps them get the players. The results have been there. Sundowns have been winning. Yes, not all the time, but they've dominated the domestic league. They've been to Champions League semi-finals and finals. Yes, there's been this unhappiness that they especially with when Rulani left. A lot of people were not happy because there's this whole, who is this guy who's getting rid of our favorite coach? And I get that. But I think as fans, we support our clubs. I would suggest raise your issues with the club. If Sundowns are going to believe Flemingberg is the man for them, there's very little people can do about it, is there? Suppose you can boycott by not going to watch. But I think Sundowns know why they hired Flemingberg. The issue of Miguel Cardoso, I, for one, have never really been a big fan. The club supports him. The club believes he's doing a good job for them, and that's what it is. Let's see how it goes. One of the things I find fascinating, though, is the fact that last season when Manqoba Mngqithi was in charge and Sundowns had a stuttering start to their Champions League campaign, they got rid of him. Are they going to do the same with Cardoso now? Now that the Champions League campaign has not begun as fast, as great as they would have wanted it to, because Sundowns throwing at home to Al Hilal is a big failing. I don't care who looks at it, whichever way. Al Hilal might be a good team, but in that group, Sundowns should have at least beaten them at home, not get a draw. If they don't win away this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled the plug on Cardoso and perhaps even Flemingberg, as the fans clearly want that to be the case. But as I say, it's a business. It's run by people who have invested millions and millions into it, and they will do what they believe is best, no matter what the fans think, no matter what we as people who cover the sport think. So thank you for joining us inside SA Soccer with me, Brad Jakes. Let's meet again in the next show.